Hey folks, how's it going? In this video, what we're going to really focus on is the concept of Pathfinders. So before we go there, let's go up to Window and Pathfinder. And what we have here is we have a palette that has these two things in here called shape modes and pathfinders, and I'm going to go through each one of them with you so you have a sense of what they do. Most likely you have used a couple of them before, and if you haven't, I bet you have used this tool right over here called the shape builder tool, which is something that I'm also going to go ahead and kind of focus on in this section as well, probably over the course of probably 2 videos or so. And essentially what these tools can do is they can help you build things in Illustrator a whole lot faster than whether you are trying to draw them yourselves. So I'm going to just start out with some basic shapes and start going through them. So the first one that I'd like to talk to is called Unite. And there are little pictures here of what they do. So Unite essentially is what it does is it creates a compound shape of 2 shapes that are separate from one another. So I'll start out with a circle here, and I'll just color that kind of gold, and I'll make a second one right next to it. So we have 2 different shapes, and I'll select the both of them, and you can see how there's an outline around this front one and an outline around this one, and you can even see right here where they kind of cross. And the thing is that the goal of creating a compound shape is that we put the 2 of them together. Now, I guess the first question is why would we do that? Well, to do that, let's go ahead and make a couple extra one of these. And what we have here is we have like a really rudimentary caterpillar, for example, right? Now, what we may want to do with this caterpillar is we may want to go ahead and say object and group these things together, so I can go ahead and move these around. And let's go ahead and give it more of like a greenish color so it's got that kind of caterpillar appeal to it. Now, if I wanted to, let's say, increase my stroke, it would increase the stroke in all of the circles here that I created. And, while a caterpillar does have that kind of stroke here in the middle, that may not be something that we are interested in and or want. So we may want this to be all one object. So, okay, so I'll just take my stroke off of it, and now this feels like one object, right? True, it does. But really, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 circles. Now, if I want to put a stroke on here again, right, and I'll increase it so we can see it a little bit better, I may only want it in the background. And well, that's, not something that can happen because, each one of these circles will have its own stroke. So if I select all these things and I click on this first one here called Unite, what it does is it will take these objects that are overlapping one another. It's really important that they are, and it will unite them into one singular shape. And it doesn't seem like much, but it's a really, really, really powerful tool, because what you can do is you can use it to just build shapes that normally would just take a little while longer. So like, let's just say this kind of reverse L kind of shape. Bam, one very quick kind of click, and it becomes this compound shape. It's a time saver, essentially, is what this is. And again, this is called Unite. What if you have 2 shapes that are different from one another? And what I mean by that is, like, what if they're different colors? Okay, so if I select these 2 things together like this, and then I go ahead and I unite them, it will always take the top shape as the dominant one and will connect them. And so that bottom shape will automatically become this magenta color. So that is Unite. Literally, I use Pathfinders all the time because I found over the years that it's just a whole lot easier to go ahead and draw with them than it is to try to make these shapes myself. So if I wanted to create, like, let's say a cloud, for example, let's go ahead and do this. And if you've been in Graphics 1 with me or with some of our other teachers, I know that you've talked about this a little bit, but if you wanted to create, let's say, a cloud, it would look a little something like this. Happy little cloud, right? Yeah. There we go. Now, that looks kind of weird, right? I would not disagree with you that it does look weird. But if I select all these things and I unite them, bam, that kind of looks like a cloud. And it's one shape now, which means that I could go ahead and I could change the fill of it. I could change the stroke of it. I could increase or decrease the stroke. I could do all sorts of things to it. And so this becomes a super powerful tool. So this is known as Unite. I'd like to also point out that there is this tool here called the Shape Builder. And I will go ahead and just do kind of what I just did a second ago. Create that cloud. And if you don't like Pathfinders, if those aren't your favorite, then maybe you want to try this tool here. It's right here in the toolbar. It's called the Shape Builder. Now, the way it works is essentially you need to have your objects selected. So I'll select all these things right here. And I'll select this tool and I'll start to roll over them. And as you see, as I kind of roll over them, they kind of get this shaded kind of look to them. And there is a little plus sign next to the arrow here. So if I start to go ahead and draw a line here, essentially wherever I drop my line, I can be all kind of like squirrely with it, right? Wherever I drop this, it will connect just like that. So that's pretty cool, right? So like you could just do it by just, basically just kind of drawing all over everything. It's not hard. It's quite easy. If you screw up because it stands out kind of like a sore thumb, right? Now, is this as quick and as efficient as Pathfinders? I don't think so. But I wanted to point it out to you because, there's more than one way to do something in this software most of the time, and you should be aware of all of the ways. And there and there. And again, that is known as the Shape Builder tool. It gave me the same thing that the Pathfinder did. Just took a little bit longer. Sometimes it's easier to use that Shape Builder though when not so much when you don't understand Pathfinders, but in certain instances when there's a lot of layers and things like that. That may be something that you want to do. All right, next shape mode is this thing here called minus front. So I'm going to do it to create the easiest, I shouldn't say the easiest thing in the world to create because it's actually kind of difficult. I'm going to create a crescent moon. So I'm going to make a yellowish color, maybe kind of like that sort of color. Throw a little bit of cyan in there. There we are. Okay. So I have this color right here. It's a circle, right? So if this is a full moon on a dark night, bam, this is what I've got. But here's the thing. What if it's a crescent, right? Or what if it's a half moon? So I'm just going to go ahead and copy my circle here so I can come back to it a couple times. So first, we've got our full moon, right? Let's go ahead and let's paste in another one here. And let's make a half moon. So all I'm going to do is take a rectangle tool and drop that right in front of this circle that I have going on here, right? And I'm going to use this second shape mode called minus front. And watch, I'm going to select the two of these things. And this here, rectangle, is in the front. So when I click on that, it literally cuts out whatever was there. And it seems quite easy because now we have a full moon and we have a half moon, right? Not too bad. Now check out this one. This is just awesome. So let's take that circle again. And then I'm going to just duplicate it. And I'm going to drag this over. And I'm going to make a crescent, just like this. Okay, so see this shape right here? I'm going to use this circle to cut this part out of the, this other part off the back circle. So check it out. Highlight these two things and voila, there we are. So there we are, crescent moon, right? And let's make a really thin crescent moon. Super thin. There we go. And crescent moon. We are, right? And that is going ahead and using the minus front option here. Minus front can also be used with the shape builder tools. So let's point that out to you too. So let's select the two of them, go to shape builder, and I'm going to hold down the option, or on a PC and alt. And now instead of having a plus sign, there's a minus sign next to my tool. So if I just go ahead and I just roll over here and into here, it will delete those sections from there, and voila, I've got I've got another crescent. Again, it seems like a simple thing, because it is, but if you take a pen tool, and I have 20 years of experience in Illustrator, and I can draw a crescent moon, it's just not going to happen so quickly, because I don't have, essentially, I do not have the curves, right? I mean, I can try to figure them out for sure, but I'm just probably not going to get them as good as they need to be. And here I am screwing it up already. So it's definitely a skill to draw some of those curves the way that they need to be. I have a really screwed up looking Pac-Man right now. Look at that. Trust me, I did go to college for this. I do this on a regular basis, believe it or not. But real quick, that's the best crescent I can get. That took way more time than simply clicking on this and dragging this here, grabbing the two of them, and doing that. So much quicker, so much cleaner, so much more efficient. And that is the minus front tool. All right, the next tool we're going to use, right? It's called intersect. And I'm not going to lie to you, I don't use it very often, but there is a time and place for it. So let's talk about that. So you know when two shapes overlap one another like we have here, and you can see clearly that there's this kind of paler yellow, and then there's this kind of like lime green going on here, and then there's this part here in the center where you see the blue line from the paler yellow shape, but you still see the stroke there, right? So this spot right here is where these two shapes intersect, and guess what? That's what this Pathfinder will give us, that intersecting shape. So like, when is a good time to even use something like this? Well, I would say probably like if you ever had to draw like a Venn diagram, for example. This is probably the easiest way to do it. So I'll grab these two things here and just say edit and copy, right? Both of them. And then I'll grab these two things and I'll drop that in there. And then I'll say edit and paste in back. And now we have this one here, right? We have this one here, and then we have this other shape right here that I'm going to go ahead and color magenta. So these are the people that like Pepsi. These are the people here that like Coke. And this magenta area here, this is the amount of market share that really doesn't care if Coke or Pepsi, and that they're always trying to reach. It's a simple concept. It works really easily. And we can go ahead and utilize those things. So no issues whatsoever. So that's known as intersect. And last, but probably one of my most famous kind of tools here in Illustrator is this one here called exclude, right? And what exclude does is we need two shapes to work with, right? So let's just make this one blue, or excuse me, yeah, blue. So we have this square here, or excuse me, this rectangle here, that's magenta, and this other rectangle, that's blue. I'll select the two of them together, and what this will do is this will literally put a hole inside of here, just like that. Now, let's go ahead and let's make something. Let's make like a, I don't know, make this a brown. Play around with my colors a little bit, maybe make a little bit more kind of like kind of burnt sienna looking. And I don't know, I'm gonna go to effects and texture and put a little bit of texturizer on here. There we go. Just something silly, nothing crazy here or anything like that. Definitely not stained glass, mosaics, no. Grain, yeah, I think we'll use some grain. We'll increase the contrast, or actually we'll decrease the contrast, and just say okay to that, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this and say object transform and scale. And I'll say, I don't know, 30% or so. And copy it. So now I have these two things here, right? Now I can select this and I can just hit white, right? Whenever I want. That's fine. And I'll take my grain right off of there. And what do I have here? I have basically like a apple cider donut. Yeah, cool. Well, here's the thing with the apple cider donut. It totally looks like an apple cider donut, right? It's got the grain, it's got everything, and I can go ahead and I can make a bunch of them. I can make, a dozen donuts if I want. Well, sorta. But you see when I start putting them on top of each other, all they have are like white dots in the center of them. So yeah, I was fine with the first couple when we were just on a white background, right? But when I started overlapping these things on top of one another like this, I shouldn't have a white background. I should see the edge of a donut. And this is where exclude comes into play, because what we have going on here is I want to put that hole in there. I want to make the hole in that donut. And there's a few ways to do it, okay? I can come here to the shape builder tool and I can simply do the option click right out of the center. And there I go. There's literally a hole now in that donut. That's a quick way to do it, right? That's probably where it's quicker to use that tool than it is the actual Pathfinder tool. Or what I can do is I can go ahead and highlight this and I'm going to click exclude. And what it did is just like before, it goes ahead and it takes whatever object is on top and that makes it the dominant colors for fill and stroke. But that's okay. With that selected, I can just go ahead and eyedrop that and grab that. So it's not a big deal. But now, and yeah, I realize that I don't have my texture on there or anything like that. Now, let's take a look at what this one is like when I start layering them on top of one another. Oh, check it out. You can like see right through down onto them. Again, versus this one, which just obviously you can do. It's just a bunch of white, circles. So this one here feels more real because, again, I can see right through this open window here, right? Where here I couldn't do that. So exclude. And these are known as the shape modes. These are powerful tools and they're extremely easy to use, which is wonderful, right? But they are things that you really, really, really need to start using on a daily basis if you're working in Illustrator and you're serious about vectors and graphics, because they save you time and it's an efficiency kind of thing. And ultimately, they can make it so you don't have to work harder. You don't have to, draw so much with the pen tool, to be honest with you. And that's not a bad thing at all. In fact, a lot of people who are creating like symmetrical kind of portraits or things that look like they have perfect curves, they're doing just this. And it is extremely, extremely, extremely helpful. So make sure you go ahead and you give it a try. These things should become part of your everyday life when you work in Illustrator. Thank you.